Morning and welcome to our webinar. It's the NVQ Covid-19 2021 Adaptations for Hair and Beauty. So for this webinar, we will just be talking about the NVQs and VRQs, nothing to do with apprenticeships, the standard apprenticeship as we know. So before we start, just some friendly reminders. We do thank you for joining us. And I'd like to explain a few things about our webinar platform as you're all in listen only mode. But if you would like to ask a question, just basically, not put your hand up if you want to, but if you want to put your comments in the Q&A or chat tab box, that would be super. And we do expect the webinar to be really, really popular. So we will be trying to answer as many of your questions as we possibly can at the end of the session. And we will be sharing the deck with you and the recording once it's been converted to YouTube. So today, the presenters are myself, Sarah Fiori, your technical advisor for Hair and Beauty at City and Guilds, and your industry manager, Emma McKay. Emma will be doing a few slides and answering. She'll be looking at the questions for me while I go through the presentation. So our agenda, what will we cover? We'll be giving you a quick background of last year and what's coming forward, looking at the new terminology against mitigations from last year versus adaptations this year. So we'll be updating you on the adaptations for the qualifications in our sector, which is hair and beauty. We have them for all sectors. We have support there, and we'll be doing a Q&A session. And now I'd like to hand over to Emma McKay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. There's been a fundamental amount of change yet again around the VRQs and NVQs across all awarding organisations. So just a real quick recap really as to where we are. So summer 2020, we really did start to see the impacts of COVID-19. We had the national lockdown. Obviously, we have just joined another. We saw the introduction from Ofqual, our regulator, of a temporary framework to manage the situation with regards to assessment. And this was something that was put together called an extraordinary regulatory framework, so an ERF, you might commonly see that as. So the ERF brought about decision making for the awarding organisations, and we did work collaboratively on a lot of this. And we had decisions to make as to whether we had no mitigation approaches for our assessments during that period of restrictions and lockdown, whether we adapted some of the assessment methodologies, delayed them, and we also had something called centre assessment grades, which are CAG. You might have heard or seen that terminology before as well. So it was really tough times. The majority of learning had taken place for the average full-time education academic year type learner by the end of March, coming into the beginning of April. However, there obviously were substantial gaps. So obviously we worked together as a team throughout periods of furlough, annual leave and everything else, all the other challenges that were brought upon us, the closing of our wonderful hair and beauty sectors. But we came together, we produced and published mitigation guides, and we got through it. I think is probably the best scenario that we could have expected. So looking forward to the next financial year, so the next academic year, the 2020 to 2021. We started this academic year in September with introductions of further local, regional and national disruptions. This was inevitable. You know, the COVID-19 situation is not going to go away overnight. So whilst we are living and learning and we are in a situation whereby this isn't going to go overnight, we need to start to think, okay, so what can we do? What flexibilities are there? What adaptations or mitigations can we put in place, if any? So again, from the government themselves, so the Ofqual regulator provided a directive and consulted us as awarding organisations around an extended extraordinary regulatory framework. So this you will commonly see as an EERF. So what this meant was, okay, we had to work really quickly at the end of the last academic year to really quickly pull together, gosh, what do we do? How do we award and reward achievement that has been stunted or that has already been achieved up until the March, April time? But what are we going to do moving forward? Because as we say, we knew this wasn't going to go away overnight. So there was a broad agreement put together across other regulators, and what we discovered with the hair and beauty industries in particular, that a key mitigation that came up was the adaptation. So awarding organisations, sector bodies really did continue to work together upfront to agree some shared principles and adaptations based on the aims and the principles of the EERF. So we published these last Monday, I want to say. I think it was about the 2nd of November. We were aiming for the October half-term break, but as I'm sure you can all appreciate, times have been crazy. We needed to ensure consistency across all awarding organisations and their professional associations, likewise sector bodies. So the guides are there, and Sarah's going to take you through these as to what flexibilities and adaptations can be used throughout this academic year. Sarah, do you want to go to the next slide, please? But we thought it'd be worth highlighting a key question that has particularly been asked many, many times since the beginning of last week. So lots of customers are asking us here at City and Guilds, are centres still allowing learners to continue to work on each other or within a training environment during lockdown? So I thought this was a great opportunity to be able to explain a little bit further our position. So centres must decide themselves how or whether you can operate. So in light of your own risk assessments, ongoing reviews of any statutory rules and guidance from time to time, and also any legal advice that you might decide to obtain to help you. So City and Guilds cannot advise whether learners or apprentices should be still undertaking practical activity in any remit on each other in any location during this period of lockdown. So our responsibility, our remit as such, is to provide assessment mitigation and EPA dispensations where possible. We ourselves have considered the government guidance, and we have stopped and made the decision to stop all close contact activities and associated assessments. So there are lots of publications out there. You've got the government rules themselves on their website. You've also got some of the professional associations, such as the Hair and Barber Council, National Hair and Beauty Federation, who have provided interpretation documents, so to help support and guide you in making your decisions. But when it comes to should people be working together, where can they work together, that really does need to be decided yourselves based on a risk assessment, your own risk assessment, and guided by those government directives. We are here every step of the way to help you with assessment mitigations or EPA dispensations. So if you have got any more questions around that, please do pop your question into the chat function or the question function at the top of your screen. And Sarah or I will start to work through these. Likewise, I'm sure there's a couple of hundred of you on the webinar today. So if we get to the end and we haven't got a chance to answer any questions or we don't know the answer, we will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay.
Thank you, Emma. So what information and guidance is available and where can you find it on our website? We have a new page for the 2021 adaptations, and I've put a link here. So if you go to our COVID page, the main page, you will see the 2021 adaption guidance. Just click on the link in there and it will give you the latest news, Ofqual news by section, guidance for England, Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland and the Republic of Ireland. Again, assessment guidance, special consideration, assessment intention forms, which you would need to fill in if you intend to make any adaptations. Again, information on testing at home, at employees' premises, also specific sector guidance that we've put together. And also, you can just hit the button and speak to us at any time. So let's talk about the adaption and what does adaption mean. because an adaptation can be misinterpreted, as Emma was saying about how other people misinterpret guidance. So adaptation should only apply to a learner if you're not able to assess in the way that assessment as intended to be sort of assessed. So what we are saying really is that you should be able to plan as normal, to deliver as normal as possible, and adaptation should not be the first option. So adaptation should be something that you look at in relation to the conditions, the assessment, your delivery, and the method of your delivery, and the guides will help you with that. Again, centres, you're not allowed to actually make any further adaptations from moving on from the guide. What is in the guide is only permitted. And there's something you need to look at again, with the scope of the learners. The adaptation within each sector guide is only available to learners who meet this criteria. So undertaking assessment in the UK or the Republic of Ireland and are scheduled to complete their qualification at the end of this academic year. And just a note here, adaptations do not apply to international qualifications or to any of our endpoint assessment products. So qualification assessment adaptation guidance. Now this actual document is probably the most important document for you to read next to the sector guidance that we're going to talk through later. What's important about this guide, it really does explain adaptation, you know, the learner's eligibility, what adaptations can be made, portfolio, you know, marked exams, externally set marked, work experience, and there's lots of further guidance in there, but what I'm going to concentrate on here is remote assessment and remote invigilation, also special considerations and quality assurance on the next couple of slides. So if we look at the remote assessment, it's a live practical assessment, and that's where learners are observed and assessed at the same time and not afterwards. Or live knowledge assessments, where learners are supervised, such as centre marked, question and knowledge tasks within an assignment. And so that is remote assessment. So if we look at the remote invigilation, it's live or post supervision of the learner completing an assessment task under supervised, controlled conditions where the invigilator is not the assessor, which is being assessed afterwards. So where assessment is undertaken remotely, all assessment requirements as specified in the relevant qualification and assessment material must be met. And this has got to maintain its validity, its reliability, and its security. This is really, really important. So this includes as well as the specified level of control and all assessors and IQA arrangements. So this is really important for your assessors and your IQAs. So if we look at the special considerations again, we've revised the special considerations policy for the COVID learners of COVID-19 learners, sorry, and this will take into consideration both individual and cohort level mitigation to those performance is impacted or where those who are unable to complete an assessment at all. So alongside this revision of our existing special considerations processes, we will make provisions where learners are unable to complete assessments due to the COVID-19. So these considerations will be agreed a minimum requirement of the available learner evidence on completion of assessment, tutor observation, to establish the appropriate result, and where a minimum requirement is not met, special consideration will not be applied and learners will need to resit assessments. So this guidance is really important to have a real look at. And moving forward now, I'd just like to move forward onto the quality assurance. And again, on this slide, you can see that all internal and external quality assurance processes still apply to all the adapted assessments. Like it says, if it's unless unspecified on the sector guides. So you do need to read the qualification assessment adaptation guides for your sector, and this will then give you a good overall view and clarify for yourself what can be adapted, and really do follow the guidance. And as I said earlier on, if you want to use the adaption, please, you must fill in the intention to apply for adaption. It's an online form, and you can see this, it's in the bottom, on the bottom of the slide. And if you click on there, that's where you'll be guided to that form. So again, quality assurance, this is just for your knowledge later on. The IQA is our standard quality assurance process that applies. The EQA activities apply, but they'll be remotely. They won't be really going out anywhere. They'll remain to do the main sampling that they would normally do in any activity. And as you can see here, direct claims. Obviously, if centres don't have direct claims or are awaiting their first monitoring activity, since gathering approval, they cannot claim any results until they've had their obviously EQA certificate and sign off. So that's just making you aware there of that activity. So now we're going to move on to our hair and beauty sector specific qualification adaptations guidance. Can't believe it's specific now. Anyway, so what I would like to talk about here is this is going to give you a summary of what the adaptations are, as we said, the scope of the learners, and when they should be applied, and what they should be applied for. It's a reminder that adaptations are in relation to conditions and controls for assessments, as we said, the delivery of these assessments and the methodology. The sector guides will specify adaptations that are permitted and the qualifications and assessments which they apply to, and centres are not permitted to make as before any further changes. So now let's take a look at our specific guides here to our qualifications. So again, these are the guides that there's a hairdressing guide, and you've got your hairdressing barbering in there. You've got your units 3001, 3002, 6008, 7002, and 5450 in the hairdressing. And in the beauty and comp, you've got your 3003, 3004, your 3007, your 7003. So all your unit numbers, everything's in there for you. So you've got everything in there, and all the units are in there for you to have a look at. So when we open these documents up, and they're both set out exactly the same, you know, they're very similar. So I'm just going to show you this one slide and talk through this, because I don't want to bore you to death, and I don't want to go through lots and lots of slides, because some of you will have already seen this and they have questions, and we would rather you ask your questions. Let me take a drink of water, I'm sorry. Okay, so as we move into this academic year, we recognise that the nature of this pandemic isn't going to go away, and it's really going to cause loads of disruption moving forward. And as Emma has stated, I'm not going to repeat what Emma said, you know, we've been working with everybody, and where possible, you know, we've been able to devise adaptation guidance, and this will provide details, you know, of what sort of adaptations that are going to be there for you, and the flexibility to support the delivery and assessment during these challenging times. So the document sets out the specific adaptations that you need to adopt, and like I say, it's been designed by our team to be as sort of easy to read as possible. So these guides are going to be your new best friends. I mean, really, this is it. You're going to be looking at these. They're going to be your best friend. It's just like your rules of combination, if you like, when you're curriculum planning. It becomes your best friend for a while. So it explains the scope of learners, the NVQs and the VRQs, and what adaptations are permitted. And the most important thing I think on this is to go onto the hair guide, the hairdressing guide. If you go to pages 17 and 18 to Appendix A, that gives you a list of qualifications where adaptation of assessment is permitted. Now, page 19 is Appendix B, and that gives you a list of qualifications where adaption there's no adaption allowed. So you need to really have a look at those. On the beauty guide, if you go to pages 22, 23, and 24, you've got the Appendix A, and that's basically a list of where you can find what adaptions are permitted. You will need to see the relevant guides as you move forward. And as you can see, you've got your QAN number, your qualification unit number, qualification number, you've got your qualification title. Moving down, you'll have your assessment methods, the components, and is the adaption permitted? Well, as we can see in this example here, we can see that on assessment methods and assessment methods of knowledge and understanding alone, there isn't any adaptation. Again, looking down for knowledge and understanding, again, externally, no adaptation. Assessment of tasks, knowledge, no adaptation. Practical skills for these units, no adaptation. Again, knowledge and tasks for those units, no. As you can see here, there is a adaptation only for practical skills, and there will be for the units will be there. So you really need to have a look at and really work out what units you're actually you're delivering and where the adaptation will sit. So again, you'll move further down and it'll tell you the on-demand evolve test. So remote invigilation is not available, but however, learners are able to continue to take the evolve. If they are able to take it safely, then they can do so that, yeah, they can sit that test, no problem. And for centre marked assignments, assessing practical skills, again, wherever possible, delivery of assessment in line with the requirements that we set out in our handbooks and assessment material, should be looked at. But where it's not possible, the adaptions are permitted. So nothing, where nothing is detailed below, for an assessment, no adaptions are permitted. So really, you have to really read through the document, as again, like I said, pick your units up and go down the document and see exactly what is permitted to be adapted. And so what we are saying to centres of coming, emailing, calling, which is great. I'm having team meetings with people, but centres are really struggling with like the bubbles, the clients, the customers, and the thing is, what I'm trying to say, and what I think we're all trying to say, is really optimise your opportunities to cross-reference any work that they've done across units. We've got to think out of the box a little bit here and just try and pick up where could they do that, where could they do that. Get a range of look at the range, the criteria that they've got to cover. Has it been achieved or evidenced anywhere? And the thing is as well, it's clustering your treatments and your services together. You're making sure your learners can find a client or a model or a customer who they can cover as much range on as possible. So it's really like finding the right model, isn't it? It's like that blank canvas. So they're the sort of things that we're asking, or suggesting that you do, is try to cross-reference as much as you possibly can with as much range as you possibly can. We've not done too bad there. We're nearly at past, and we've said that we needed about half an hour for your Q&As. For future, you know where I am. I'm Sarah Fiodi, your technical advisor. You can contact me on the email address there and the telephone number. I am not doing any face-to-face meetings, which really upsets me, because I do like getting out and about and seeing my customers. I find it very difficult talking into a computer like this. I don't mind when I'm on a Teams meeting and I can see your lovely faces. So if you need anything from me, please email me. If you'd like to book your team in with me for half an hour or an hour, Q&A, any help, any support I can give you. This is my it's my honour to be able to give you this support. So please do contact me. What I will suggest, and I say it every time, you can see on this slide where it says tools and support. The biggest support for yourself can be if you go to the email updates and just make sure that you've updated, you've got your full name in there, you've got your right email address, and go and check what updates you want from us. because, you know, due to GDPR, we really can't, you know, keep sending things out. We need to have emails coming through from you through our email update service. So, sorry about that. Bit too quick on that on the finger there. Sorry, yes. And now it's over to you really for your Q&As. Emma, how are we doing?
So it's I'm just flicking through. There's not too many questions. A few people have asked about can students work on each other in their bubbles and things, but I'm wondering if those people maybe didn't hear the beginning of the webinar. So just to reiterate, might be worth if you could just bring that slide back up, Sarah, if that's okay, just to explain that it's something that we can't advise or guide you on. It is based on your own risk assessments as to who you are using. Obviously, please do read through the assessment mitigation guides, because they will help you with the mitigations, the actual dispensations that are in place. So just to reiterate, giving advice on whether learners can work on each other during this period of lockdown isn't something, unfortunately, we are able to comment on. It's something that perhaps you could seek support from the National Hair and Beauty Federation, BABTAC, Hair and Barber Council, your local councils. So once you've done your own risk assessments, there's the opportunity for you to establish what your working directive is going to be. So for us, we can answer all your questions about assessment mitigations, EPA dispensations, but centres really must decide themselves how or whether to continue operating on each other. Someone did ask at the beginning, Sarah, about SVQ mitigations. Are we covering those today? That's not something we're covering today. This is around NVQ and VRQs. But we did speak to our Scottish EQAs yesterday, and we're in the process of putting in a Teams meeting around SVQ mitigations. Somebody's asked as to how long we'll need to wait for the mitigations for Scotland for the SVQs to come through. Obviously, the current mitigations are in place until January 2021. There is discussion with SQA around what happens after January 2021. So as soon as we hear from them, we'll be able to share that with you all. It's hard to see the questions in that tiny little box, isn't it? Let's have a little look.
Asking for copies of slides. Definitely, we'll send everything out now. So we'll send the slides out with our. We have a newsletter that's coming out as well. So we'll send the slides out, the recorded slides with the newsletter and the mitigation guides as well. I'll put that all in an email to you.
Yeah, because somebody said if the government are clearly stating that the industry is closed, for our industries, surely we should not be working, should not be doing close contact services. So why is education be allowed to make our own decisions? It's not about making your own decisions. It's about you adhering to both government guidelines and the City and Guilds or your awarding organisations' assessment mitigations. So what we're saying here is that we can't advise you on that. So when we say you've got to make your own decisions, it's about you doing your own risk assessments in line with the government recommendations there. Just having a look if there's any other things. How often are adaptations reviewed? At the moment, it's new to us. We've never had to do it before. So the Department for Education directive was that we did this for the extraordinary regulatory framework back in the end of the summer 2020, and we've just been asked to do the extended extraordinary regulatory framework for the beginning of this academic year. So there are no intentions to review them as it stands today. These, as far as we're aware, are the mitigations for this academic year. I do believe we have heard conversation around if we go into a longer period of time with a national lockdown, perhaps we would relook at them again as a collective. But as it stands today, what has been published are the mitigations moving forward.
Can I just pop in there a minute? Please go to the website and check our the web page, because we have versions, and just check you've got the right version. We're on version 1.1, so just always check that you've got the right version when you're making your adaptions. I think that's a really important thing to take into consideration.
Yeah, a few other people say, what if based on government or local restrictions, we're not in a position to have clients coming in for assessment, then no assessments will be able to take place. The government rules come first, and then if you are allowed to do clients or working on each other or whatever the rules might be with terms to close contact services, that's when the assessment mitigations come into play for those. Can you see any other questions that are different from the who, what, where and when?
I'm really looking, trying to find them. I think there's one here of the adaption. Is the only adaption for 7002 in the perming unit? We read the guide and it says on page 12, units 201 and 212, but the example is only for perming unit. I can't actually, it's not perming unit. It's only the perming unit, yes, on programme. That's what's in the, that's what is in the adaptions of 47002. I'll just look at that myself now over here.
Okay, a couple of people are asking if they are allowed to work on other students, can they be used for assessments? You'll need to refer to the assessment guides, the mitigation guides. For some types of qualification, yes, you can. And for others, it's when you can work on clients only. So do refer to the specific qualifications. Again, if you've got a specific one, you can't find the answer in the guide, please do just drop Sarah an email and you'll be able to help Sarah go through the finer detail.
No problem. And like I said, if you'd like a Teams meeting with me and your teams, then do drop me a line.
Do any of these mitigations apply to 6008? Yes.
Yeah.
All of the NVQs, all of the VRQs are all within the assessment guide. So do have a good look through and you'll be able to see what adaptations are applicable in there. This is a good question. Are adaptations only used as a last resort where everything else has been completed? Personally, I would say yes. This isn't about making things easier. This is about supporting a really difficult situation. So if I was still managing in a large FE college myself, I would most likely be doing everything I can as business as usual, and then seeking flexibilities where and if they're needed, alongside obviously the government rules and regulations. We were told the SVQ guidance finishes January 2021 for SVQ. What happens to the learners after that? Yeah, so we were contacted by SQA. I think I said earlier, sorry, I can't remember. We were contacted by SQA a couple of weeks ago, and we are attending a meeting with them, I think I want to say next week, as to what they are driving forward for us to put in place moving forward. Where on the website, Sarah, can we find centre intention forms?
You'll find that if you go onto our COVID website, and you'll see I'll take you to the slide where you can see this. Sorry, going backwards. I'll take you to there it is. So you can see this is our new web page. You click on that web page here, and that will take you right to this page. This is what it'll look like, and then you'll go into find out more, and it will give you all the information there that you need. And then your intention form, as we see it here, is on the quality assurance, so centre intention form to apply adaptation. And we've had a couple of questions on special considerations. You really have to read that for special considerations, because it's different for every learner. So I would suggest have a really good read of that, and if you want to get back to me with questions, then I can, if I can answer, I will, or if not, I will find the answer for you.
Somebody's asked about the level 3 beauty. What happens? They usually send their students off site to do sort of the spa unit. obviously, if that's not something you're able to do, check what the mitigation guys. There may be a flexibility there for you. If you're still unsure as to what to do, please do drop Sarah an email. She'll be able to talk that through with you. But I do believe there is detail in the guide around what to do there. Is that right, Sarah?
There's detail in the guide around that qualification, and it's a technical. So just have a look at the guide, really read it and just highlight, like I said, the units that you're delivering on, and really think about the questions that you need to ask, or what you need to, if you need any further understanding. But everything is absolutely in these guides to give you that, well, the guide really is to give you the guide and to let you know what can and what can't be sort of adapted. So it just really is going to be working through those guides. But I can't remember the page it's written on though, Emma. So I'm sorry.
Another good question: do we have to apply for the adaptations as and when we want to use them? No, my understanding is you don't. You just crack on and use as and when necessary. Is that right, Sarah, as an EQA?
Yes, you would just use one form, and if you are intending to do that this year, then I would get your adaption to apply in, and what qualification you're going to be adapting. Not units yet, just qualifications. I'd fill the form in and get that sent off, because that's your intention. You're letting us know what your intention is, because obviously we'll need to know for planning moving forward.
So they can do that as a whole rather than for individual.
Yeah, not individual, it's as a whole. That's their intention. So please do, fill that in, because it's a part of your quality assurance.
So it's more of a sort of a top level information rather than nitty gritty, isn't it, for every unit?
That comes later on.
Yeah. Okay. Someone's asked anything for apprenticeships. Today's webinar is about VRQs and NVQs, but I do believe, Sarah, you've got some dates in the diary, haven't you, to update on apprenticeships?
Yes, we have. We've got dates in the diary. Oh, where's nothing gone? I can't remember, but we've got the 16th, the 18th, and the 19th. So the 19th we will be doing the apprenticeships, and it's going to be between, I think it's 4 and 5 on the 19th of November. So these will be going out this afternoon. They'll be advertised, and I'll be sending the links to these with you. It's in our newsletter coming out. So the links are going to be there for you too, and that you'll get that probably tomorrow.
Brilliant.
So please book on them, please.
There's somebody with a learner that was due to complete an NVQ November 2020. Are we saying that these adaptations are now applicable? I think that sounds like you might need to drop Sarah an email, because if it's a learner that registered before summer 2020, that there was a cut-off point there. However, if the learner was due to finish at a later date, I'm not sure, if I'm really honest. Sarah, do you know the answer to that one, or is that something you need to pick up separately?
I will pick it up, but I'm sure as an EQA myself, that should have been we had the cut-off date there, so they would still be on the mitigations from last year, not this year, because they were enrolled last year, so they're not this year's learner. So email me and I will pick it up with higher up within the business.
Brilliant. Somebody said, what version of the mitigations are we, of the adaptations are we on, as the current beauty one is number 1? Yeah, I believe there's not been any amendments so far to the publication last week. Is that right, Sarah?
There's no amendments, no. With version 1.0 for hairdressing, for beauty therapy and complementary therapies, and for hairdressing, it's version 1.0 as well. So we're on those. The adaption for technical qualifications, if anybody wants any information on technical qualifications, I'm going to send that out to you as well. That is on a version 1.1. So there's just been a little adaption amendment on that one.
Okay. You've talked through special considerations. There's a few questions about special considerations, how, what, where, and when they find those. How long do the adaptations last for? Until summer, these current ones now until summer 2021. Will sitting guilds produce sorry, you only get to see one line at a time, don't you? Will City and Guilds produce practical assessments for each unit for mitigation? Will it be the same for the last lockdown? No. So the last lockdown was very, very prescriptive, as we really had to act fast and we had to think of alternative ways to evidence skill and knowledge, because there wasn't time on our side. As it stands today, there's plenty, we hope, time on our sides between now and July. You know, so at the moment, no, it's not going to be drilled down to quite the level of details as we had last time, because it gives a little bit more flexibility and trust really in the assessment teams that are out there in our colleges. Yeah, we'll be sharing the recording. Why are the adaptations only applicable to candidates due to complete by summer 2021? Our regulator, Ofqual, has asked us and all awarding organisations to put that in place. I presume we'll hear throughout the next sort of 12 months, 6 to 12 months, what will happen post summer 2021. I'm hoping, as the news this morning was, that the vaccine is on its way. We might all be seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. We shall resume normal practices from there, but who knows, unfortunately, as yet. Will there be a full unit breakdown of assessment criteria required? I'm not sure what that question means.
I think that's for adaption, like we did with the other mitigation.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
So no, not to that level of detail, because we're enabling more flexibility for you all, because I think, yes, we are in a period of national lockdown at the moment, but I presume, and I think we hear, that we're going to be going back into more localized lockdowns or restrictions. So there's going to be different things happening in different parts of the country, isn't there, Sarah?
Yeah, so we just really have to sit tight at the moment with that.
Are assessments still valid during this month, although you have said you cannot advise if they should be still carried out or not? I'm not sure what you mean there. I think, yeah, if you've done an assessment, it's valid. It's,
yeah,
you know, meets the strategy. Absolutely. Yeah. Sarah, do you interpret anything differently from that?
Why not? If you've been working since September, you've done some assessments maybe beginning of October, end of October. So why not?
Yeah, and like I said, you know, earlier, if your risk assessment for your business states that they're happy for learners to work in bubbles or whatever the outcome might be, yeah, that's not for us to make a judgment on, as long as you follow all the normal, you know, quality stuff.
And there is a split, you know, 50-50 for centres. Some centres are, you know, working in bubbles, and some centres are just not. They're doing just theory, and they're not working at all. They're not doing any practical in beauty, and some are working on dolls' heads in hairdressing. So people are just trying to think out of the box. And this is what I'm saying, though. You know, if you look back at what assessments you've done with your learners already, and look at what ranges have they covered there. You know, could anything be cross-referenced anywhere? You know, I think adaption's harder than actually delivering what we normally deliver and love delivering. So, you know, don't make it hard for yourself. Just try and cluster and bring as much together as you possibly can when you can, when it's legal to do so. And, you know, the biggest thing is we've all got to show due diligence in these times. So,
a couple of people asked what's in scope for work-based learning apprenticeships. Again, Sarah, you're going to confirm the dates of the apprenticeship webinar, aren't you? Obviously, there is content here around the 7002. Those of you that are in England for the on-programme mandatory qualification. So there is information, because it's a competency-based qualification. So you'll find that within these guides. But Sarah, you're going to confirm, aren't you, the date?
Everybody who's registered will be getting a copy of these slides. With the newsletter, and on the newsletter, the dates are there for, and the links are there for you to book on the future webinars. There's 3 coming up. There's going to be
Sorry,
it's all right, Emma. You go.
Lots of people are asking about the blocks. Can they be used for assessment? Again, it depends which unit.
Look at the mitigation guide. It's same for perming, yes, but you need to look at the mitigation guide. You know.
It really outlines, doesn't it, the individual qualifications.
So, you know, please, yeah. As I said, this is going to be, it's like your new Bible, along with your handbook.
It's difficult to see many of the questions, so I think what we'll do is we'll probably look at them afterwards. But Sarah, did you want to go onto the website maybe and show everybody where the documents are? Would that help everybody? Have you got a link there, or maybe we could bring them up?
I could bring the link up. Yeah, I can go back to that. So let me do it that way.
So on our website under COVID-19, so the far left, you'll be able to see there on that row there in red underneath the City and Guilds logo. If you click onto assessment mitigation, so actually, would you be able to go back to where it says home and we could take everybody through the actual where it is? I don't think I can take over the mouse.
You see that home? So we'd go into COVID. We'd go into COVID, yeah?
Yep. I think there's just a little delay, Sarah. I'll let you know when it pops up.
Okay.
Yep, we're on the COVID page.
Yeah. So I'll just go down a little bit. All your functional skills information's here, but you're going to be using this area. Find out more. The 2021.
Okay, we're not there.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. You were there now, yeah?
We're there, yeah. So you can see that there. And we've got the Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. We've got declaration forms, obviously our free COVID course, which your learners we hope are doing, endpoint assessment, which we'll be looking at on the next webinar.
So if we click on the adaptations guidance, find out more, if you click there.
But if you go on the slide that I went on first, you'll see that where it says web page, that link will take you straight to this page, not to the home page. So you'll come straight to the adaptations page. Can you see that now?
Not yet. Yeah, we're there. So then I believe we scroll down, don't we, and find here.
We do. So the nations, information's here.
We can't see that just yet.
Okay.
I'll let you know when it catches up with us.
Super.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we can see sector and qualification specific guidance. We can see guidance for Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland at the top. Just keep going down.
Can you see any more there?
Not yet, just yet. If you go down a little bit more under sector guidance now available, we should be able to start.
I just want to bring everybody's attention to the qualification adaption guidance. This is the other document. This is one of the most important one for your quality assurance. Here's your special consideration, and here's the link to apply for the adaption. So this is your intentions form if you hit this button there. So we've got a specific, can you see the sector specific qualifications coming up?
Not yet, but I think they'll. Yes, yep.
Super. So you can see every sector has these adaptations guides. So we've got our beauty therapy and complementary therapies here. And you'll just click on that and you'll download your guidance here. You see that yet?
It just says download the guidance. So I think it'll pop up in a minute.
So that's what you would do, is you would download the guidance here. So your adaptation guidance for beauty therapy and complementary therapies, you would download that guidance, and the hairdressing one is further down. You can see the hairdressing further down, and that really sums up where you need to be looking. Really, this is a sort of page that you need to be keeping your eye on and checking that the adaptations versions are the ones that you're working with at the time you're working with them. Any more, Em?
No, there's nothing more that I can see that we haven't already gone through. Some specific questions around specific units. So obviously we'll need to go, or those customers will just need to have a look inside the guides. If you're still stuck, please do send Sarah over an email. But there's nothing else on this, Sarah. I don't think that we've generically kind of gone through. Nope.
Yeah, I think we've got everything there now.
Okay.
Yeah, so any more questions? You can see any more questions anywhere?
Lots of people still asking about who can be assessed on, can people
Yeah.
still be assessed on each other, those sorts of things, can
Yeah.
mannequins be used, blockheads, those sorts of things. So I do think it's obviously going to be worth everybody having a good look through the assessment guides, and like you say, Sarah, maybe let's share the slide with email addresses on again, and once you've had a chance to have a little look through the guides, which do outline, you know, when and where mannequins or blockheads can be used, and also, you know, if it's permitted for learners to work on each other, on a Sitting and Guilds point of view, obviously alongside government guidance as well. Yeah, they can send us sort of emails after to yourself, can't they, for support?
Yeah, definitely. Okay then, well, we're now at 5 to 11. I think we've come to the end of our NVQ VRQ Covid-19 adaptations for 2021. I really do appreciate you all joining Emma and myself today, and obviously being patient with us, as we have to be patient with, you know, the Ofqual and everybody else, other organisations. So we just really want to thank you very much for taking your time and supporting us. Thank you very much, Em.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.